the nature of leadership, I think sometimes from people who feel outside looking in, is that leadership is not for them, and neither do they want it. I mean, I've coached people who've said to me, one person in particular, she said to me, you know, I don't think of myself as a leader. And everybody else could see it, including me. And it's because she'd been in environments where she wasn't really asked her opinion necessarily, but it wasn't that she was excluded. It's just that she looked around how leadership was being performed. The exercise of leadership around them was very, very big, bold, alpha, and knowing, certain. And the uncertainty as somebody who was not certain made her feel like, oh, that's for them. That leadership thing, that's for them, and they're very good at it. I'm sort of in awe. But that's not for me. I can only just get on with my job. And when I asked her about herself, she said she rattled off a chronological list of all her achievements, one by one, which were great. But she's still given the very best business presentation I've ever seen in my life, and I've seen a lot. And during our coaching, we talked about that and talked about this idea of how we construct an identity within ourselves. So it is the communication out, but it's also the communication in. That's another element of it, I think.
It is, and it's, you said at the beginning, leadership's very individual. It is, and for that person that you were just talking about, she doesn't have to lead like other people lead. She would be a good leader. She has the authority by being exceptional at what she does. And she is that sort of person who would listen to others and see what was going on around her. You quite clearly explained that. That's a great way to lead.
Yeah.
And gains trust of people hand over fist. You don't have to have all the answers. You do at the beginning of the crisis have to have an answer. Might not be the right one at the end of the day. It doesn't matter. You've just got to get going and do something to keep the ship afloat, or whatever analogy you wish to use. But you've got to get people going, inspire them to get going. And someone who would have the trust of their people, that woman clearly would have, is just that sort of person to have the trust, to say in the moment, and by gum, it would be hard for her to do this, but let's do this. And everybody starts, and then she can listen to everybody and do what she's really good at and really get the right answer. Whereas there are others who are so good, as the leaders you described around her, who would be really good at the, let's do this, but they would not be so good at letting go of that if it wasn't quite doing what it should. And that's where leadership failure and leadership poorness can really come in. So she sounds like a brilliant person to me.